Good morning, garden friends. Actually, I think it's afternoon at this point. I'm going to be spending the day, most of the day, in the greenhouse again. In between showers, though, I wanted to give you a little tour of the early March garden. So most of the storm has passed, but for today and tomorrow and probably Tuesday as well, we are going to be dealing with on and off showers. So I'll still be getting work done, but there'll be lots of running and hiding from the rain. So let's start with this little bed by my back patio, and then we'll work our way to the cottage garden. So this bed we put in last year. There used to be a whole bunch of heavenly bamboo, Nandina, which I hated, and everything we had was covering the window. So these containers here, these two wine barrels, have muscari, and they did have a bunch of tulips, but as you can see, rodents got in, squirrels probably, and ate all the tulips. Whatever, I don't care at this point. It's fine. I'll replace all that when the muscari die, and we'll move on to spring stuff. But the bed itself, I have trimmed back everything and added fresh compost. And so the lavender's all freshly trimmed. We've got lantana here in the front, and weigela and yarrow. And then I put some calendula back in there as well. So I will also add sunflowers to this for the summertime, but it's looking really good. I might pop in a few more ground covers here and there to help with that. Citrus, it's looking amazing. So everything got topped up with compost and fertilizer. It's a little yellow, but that's from all the rain, and so the fertilizer that I added will really help green things up. In this green pot, we actually have a hydrangea, Macrophylla hydrangea, so that one is starting to put on new leaves, as you can see. But I'm just thrilled that this particular lemon is producing, because for 2 years it sat in that pot and didn't do anything, and it looked horrible. And now it's looking really good, and it's giving us lemons. Strawberry green stalk I've completely cleaned out. Haven't added new strawberries yet, but I do have a flat of them over here. I was just waiting for some dry weather, so that will happen. The herb green stalk, that I did clean up, but I haven't taken it apart yet and added to that. That will be another day. Okay, so these containers are now permanently planted like this, or at least as long as I continue to enjoy them. They are strawberries and sweet alyssum. And then in the middle is a clematis that I really hope comes back this year. I'm not very hopeful, but we'll see. And those are tulips from many years ago, which apparently were still down in the soil, but they probably won't even produce flowers. However, we do get lots of strawberries off of these. I did prune all of the roses and added fresh compost, as well as these little tiny piles of compost actually have limelight hydrangeas in them. So those are all set. Everything's been fertilized, pruned, and composted. Starting with the cottage garden, you saw it when I pruned everything and added compost, but now things are really starting to grow. So you can see the lupines are starting. We've got more down the way. I've added a bunch of calendula in here. You can see seedlings of foxglove popping up, and our daffodils, our narcissus, are blooming. They got flattened by the rain. We've had some really powerful rain the last couple days, hard rainstorms. You've got hyacinths in here. It just looks so much better, nice and tidy. Some more feverfew, this crazy cosmos that survived the winter and is still flowering. So yeah, it's just looking very, very pretty right now. It's too bad that these guys are on the ground, but that's what happens sometimes in the spring. We've got irises that are starting to pop up, which I'm thrilled about. Can't wait to see, because I planted new ones last year, and they're naturalizing as well from the year before. So yeah, lots of different daffodil varieties in here. Here's another one. So pretty. The dusty looks great now that it's been all trimmed back. Salvias are starting to put on fresh new leaves. Everything's looking really good. And with this nice fresh compost, you got that black soil that's a nice contrast to the bright green and bright colors of the flowers. That makes me really happy. So yeah, the cottage garden is looking really good. Oh, and we even have More Sweet Alyssum here, clearly enjoying the water. That's popping up from last year. There's catmint right there. And more hyacinths in here. More Sweet Alyssum. And these back here, this is all Buddleia, and these are hollyhock seedlings. I'm super excited. So the hollyhock, the Black Watchman was right in this area here, but they drop billions of seeds, just like foxglove. So that makes me really happy. I don't think they'll flower this year because they are biennial, but we will have them next year. So, and lots of other bulbs coming up. We've got some giant emperor alliums in here and fritillaries. So yeah, those are all starting to come up. And then the little corner bed that I cleaned up had been taken over by the helichrysum. I pulled all that back, and now you can see all the beautiful daffodils, the hyacinths. Look how pretty and fresh the lamb's ear looks. And the snowdrops. These guys were all completely buried under that helichrysum. They're so happy. Here's our side yard that is really only viewable from the kitchen window, which is right here. Nobody really comes back here, as you can imagine. But like I've said before, I planted this up so that I could have something pretty to look at back here. And so there's lots of bulbs in the ground. They bloom a little bit later than everything else because they're super shaded here, but that makes it nice. So you can see the lamium. We've got some more snowdrops. We've got lobelia, and this will just all be covered in flowers over the next couple of weeks. This loropetalum is blooming, very, very pretty. Japanese maples haven't leafed out yet, but they will. Front walk. This area is still a disaster. I haven't even begun spring cleanup here, but that's okay. You can see this azalea is just starting. Tiny little pink flowers. And then we've got this crane's bill here, so pretty. Another blooming loropetalum, and there's another one back there. And again, the Japanese maple not yet blooming, but the this is jasmine, star jasmine, and it's finally climbing over this trellis. And then I've got another one here in this pot, which looks glorious, and it is also making its way over that. Sorry, I called it a trellis. It's an arbor. Camellias, still blooming, although this white one will probably finish up pretty soon. These are some of the last, this is also a white one, these are some of the last ones to bloom during this season. But you can see daffodils all along this walk here. We've got some euphorbia, such pretty flowers. Now, the thing about daffodils and euphorbia is they have a sap that is poisonous and toxic basically to all wildlife. So nobody eats them, which is fantastic. There's no protection here. The deer won't eat them, squirrels won't eat them, nobody will eat the daffodils or the euphorbia. But when you cut them to put them in bouquets, you must cut them and let the sap heal over that stem for a couple of hours before you mix them with other flowers, or that sap will kill your other flowers in your arrangement. So just keep that in mind. This white azalea blooming, but the rest of these haven't even started yet. But like I said, you can see what a big mess this. I haven't even done any of the spring cleanup yet, but that's okay. We'll get there. But we've got lavender and stuff back there, and this is a giant monkey flower, mimulus in here. All of these daffodils, though, they're so pretty. I can't even remember the varieties, but I put about 1,000 bulbs in this area, and I spread them all out, and they're starting to naturalize, which is really, really fun. The hellebores are just kind of hanging out now. They're mostly done, as is normal, because they're a January and February kind of flower. So all of this over time, over the next couple of months, will be blooming different colors. You can see this one's getting real close. Nice hot pink. And then we have this really pretty one over here, this light pink. Now moving into the vegetable garden, which right now has a lot of flowers in it. So all of these are planted very close together, all these daffodils. This year when I harvest, which actually is starting tomorrow, I'm going to be pulling as many up as possible from the base, getting the bulbs and all, so that they can have more room to spread out through here. Now the other plant you're seeing in here, other than this horrible weed, I think that's hairy bittercress, I think it's called. Anyway, is also California poppy. So the nice thing about that is these guys mix so well together. Once the daffodils are kind of done and fading back, then the poppies take over, and it's just a really nice little mix. Okay, back in the veggie garden, old tulips popping up, and the mice are back, or squirrels. I don't know which, but I'm gonna set up traps tonight because you can see they've been eating my celery. And this is even worse over here, digging, so that makes me think they're squirrels. All my onions are gone. They ate every single one of them. And then you can see all this destruction in here of these. So these guys are too far gone for harvest. However, like if they're like this, like I'll harvest that tomorrow. This one might be too far gone. I'll harvest that tomorrow. Tulips, when you harvest them, for the longest vase life, you want them as they're just starting to crack the bud open. So these guys started first, and they were mostly destroyed by rodents already, so I wasn't too worried about these. These are bonus ones that somehow overwintered from the year before. Usually doesn't happen with tulips here. And then we've got others. You can see it's real spotty coming up here, so a lot of them must have gotten eaten, but that's looking great. These are looking great. So these are all harvestable tomorrow because you can see the color. Some of these are harvestable. These are going to be really pretty bouquets. And you can see in here, like this one, when it gets warm and the sun comes out, it opens completely. That's gorgeous, but that's too far gone for a customer. So I'll come through here and we're pulling them up, bulb and all. And then once they're all harvested over the next couple of weeks, we'll be planting these beds up with vegetables. So blackberries, getting a little bit of new green growth, but not too much else yet. They're breaking bud on the pomegranate, which is expected. Garlic, still looking good. We're missing a bunch in here, so I don't know if that means it got pulled up and eaten. Probably so. Here's evidence of that. So I need to set up a whole bunch of rodent traps because I do want a big garlic harvest this year. This bed over here is full of daffodils, as you can see, and peonies, which have not started coming up yet, but they will. So very, very pretty. And again, these will all naturalize. I can see I need to come in here and weed. Pollinator beds, all fresh and ready to go. It's already starting to put on some new growth where I just pruned it a week or so ago. Now, the garden. We've definitely had our share of destruction in here. That's why some things are still in cloches. This is potatoes, and something's been digging in here as well. I'm going to actually top it up with more compost to make it deeper. But I am starting to get some germination on things that I direct sowed, which is good. I just want to make sure nothing eats them in the meantime. So we're getting a little bit of carrot germination here. Remember, it's been cold. It's been cold and gray and raining. Here's some turnips in the front here that have germinated. There's a whole bunch right there. Trees are getting some buds on them. This is a plum, Santa Rosa plum, and these are nectarines. Very pretty. Look at this one. Yeah, I know the bees are happy with that. Don't have anything in this bed yet, except for a random onion. And then over here, we do have some radishes that did germinate, but I can see some things have been messing with them. So yeah, I think I'm going to struggle with pests this year, big time. It was bad last year. Looks like it's going to continue to be bad this year, so I'm going to have to be very aggressive about keeping things covered. Now, these broccoli that got eaten by rodents are putting on little side shoots. And you know what? That's cool because those little tiny broccolis are actually pretty tasty. I didn't intend to keep these here because there's actually a bunch of other stuff is getting ready to go in. But you know, for now, they can stay. Over here, we still have collards and red acre cabbages, and they seem to be okay, although you can see something's digging under. So again, I have to come through here today and try to barricade everything and set up a whole bunch more traps. Oh, this is the worst. This is what's left of this lettuce that something has dug under and eaten. Here's the digging under. So this time it's not slugs, it's animals. Nice big hole. Slugs don't do that. And there's another row of radishes. The peas are coming up, and so far the birds have found them, but they're not doing too badly. Oh, geez. This is why it's hard for me to grow peas, because the early stages, they just get decimated. Over here, this celery still looks great. And we've got the germination on our beets. So we'll see how that goes. These blueberries are just starting to break bud. You can see one right there. And the chickens, I've already given them treats today, but they're very happy that the sun is shining. It's been miserable for them. It's pouring rain for days and days and days. Hi, babies. Okay, so while we have some sun, I am going to direct sow some of my winter squashes out here in this bed over here and cover them with cloches and nail down those cloches so something can't get underneath it. I might even actually dig around and kind of bury the cloche. I really want to keep these things alive. Once they get big enough, then nothing bothers them. But when they're small like this, they're just so vulnerable. Yeah, so I'm going to direct sow, and then I'm going to set up my bucket traps. I'm going to bring the ratinator out as well and get that set up and hope I can start trapping some rodents. I've had zero luck trapping in the greenhouse. None of the traps have been sprung. So I'm just going to have to keep covering the seedlings every night and hope that I can get them through this spring season and then out into the field and protected there. I've literally never struggled this hard against nature to grow things. I haven't. So it's really challenging. Definitely putting a lot of stress into gardening, making it a lot less fun. When you come out every morning and you see total destruction of things that you just planted, it's really knife in the gut. And I know this is normal in general, but you know, when you watch YouTube and you see all these people's gorgeous gardens and you're like, how come they're not struggling with all the, maybe they are, but that's kind of why I'm sharing it with you, because I am having those struggles and it is a real thing. And I know I'm not the only one. If I was, all these products wouldn't be on the market to eradicate pests. So anyway, all right, last thing I want to show you is the 4-in-1 apple that we planted. And look at this, flowers. You guys, I'm really excited because my other apple trees, which are over here, have not even broken bud yet. They'll do it later. But the last couple years, the only one that's flowered is this one, and that's the only one that's ever given me fruit, and that's 1 year. So the fact that this one's flowering and that it's 4 different varieties that pollinate each other on the same tree, I have a lot of hope that maybe I'll actually get apples on this tree this year. And that's super exciting because we just planted it. Okay, well, I've got a mess of jobs to do. Hopefully, yeah, here comes the clouds again. So I might hide in the greenhouse and do some sowing first and then come back out after the shower passes. But I want to get these seeds in the ground, get them covered and protected, and definitely get the rodent traps set up out here because this is crazy. I might as well not plant anything if basically I'm just providing them with a smorgasbord. Okay, friends, it's the end of the day. The temperature dropped and it's been raining pretty much since the last time I spoke to you. Did not get a chance to direct sow because it started to rain, and I have literally spent hours here in the greenhouse sowing seeds. So I am done. There's not much to show you at this point because I literally have covered everything. So these are the sunflowers. Everything's covered. These are the new trays that I just did. There's one down there. And I'm covering them with floating row cover right now because I don't want them to be trampled by the rodents. And also, it'll take a while for them to chew through this. I mean, not a while. They could do it immediately, but lots of growers have told me this is what they do to keep them from running across the top of them, and it works for quite a while. So fingers crossed. More new seeds started here. Even though nothing's germinated and they're not going to eat those because those seeds are tiny, I don't want them to mess these up. I need to find something to cover this. Those blocks are so nice and I just don't want them to get destroyed. Over here, more stuff covered. And then this is all the squashes, the winter squashes and stuff. And, oh no, these are the squashes and gourds. And then this is all cucumbers and things like that. Again, not sprouted yet. and on a heat mat, but I just don't want anybody running across them, digging in there. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap that even tighter, and then, you know, check them. The thing is, they dry out pretty quickly because they're on a heat mat, but that soil is nice and wet, so I'm thinking tomorrow I probably won't need to water them, but I do check every day. Okay, thanks for hanging out with me today, you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that short little garden tour before the rain came back in. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and would love to hear what you are starting, because it is March, so even for lower zones we're moving into seed starting time. So comment below what you're getting started for your garden. Have a wonderful time in your garden, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.